Hello, gorgeous. So this is me without any makeup on, and this is me with the kind of makeup that they basically put on actresses and supermodels when they want them to look like they aren't wearing makeup, but like we all know that they're wearing makeup. So anyway, starting with a clean, moisturized face, I really recommend giving your moisturizer at least a few minutes to absorb into the skin before you get started. Beyonce's makeup artist actually recommends applying an eye cream all over the face since it's like a thinner consistency, so it's supposed to absorb more quickly. But those are just rich people tips. I'm going to give you normal people tips. So anyway, I'm filling in my brows a little bit just because I barely have any. So this is like my main concern, my main problem area. So I'm using an eyebrow pencil instead of my usual brow pomade just to get a softer look. And then I use a liquid liner pen with a very, very fine tip to draw on really thin little lines that look like hairs. It just creates more texture. Again, this is because I don't really have very many natural brow hairs towards the ends of my brows. So if this isn't you, you can skip this step, but just in case we got the same issue, this is a tip. For skin, take a look at your face and just assess what the issues are for you specifically. For me, as far as my skin goes, right now my skin is doing okay. I do have like some old blemishes that need a little extra love and attention, but also dark circles. So I'm going to use a salmon colored corrector, like a color corrector underneath the eyes. This is from Lancome. It's like this cushion compact. It's a really, really thin consistency, so it's not going to add a lot of texture to the skin at all, which is what we want to avoid. We want to avoid texture. For a no makeup effect, thin layers are key. So underneath the eyes right now, you can see that they're much brighter. But I do get some redness around my nose and my mouth, and I'm using the green color corrector from Lancome to kind of counteract this. It looks very neutralized, but I mean, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the green one. I love the salmon one a lot better. But anyway, the area is neutralized, so that way we can go over with a very, very thin layer of foundation. On a typical day, I love using a tinted CC or BB cream. This one is from IT Cosmetics. This is a really, really good one, but you can still get away with using a more full coverage foundation by shearing it out a lot. This is going to give you a much softer effect. So what you want to do is take some kind of like a sanitized surface, a palette, whatever you want, and apply a small amount of foundation onto it and then dip your brush in it, but then on a clean spot, wipe off the excess product so you barely have that much left on the brush. And then you can start applying to the face using some good circular motions, buff it on. Most people don't need the same amount of coverage all over their face. Just work in very, very thin layers and only build up coverage where you need it. You're going to see me going over things sometimes with the Beauty Blender just because I want to make sure there aren't any streaks, because obviously that's a dead giveaway that you've been painting your face. Now, normally you'll see people like myself and others using all these brightening and lightening concealers underneath the eyes, which is cool for a really glam look. But naturally, you don't want your under eye area to be like any lighter than your skin tone. So I'm using a concealer that pretty much matches my skin tone. And in very, very thin, again, barely there layers, I'm just covering up the under eye area just to, camouflage any darkness or whatever that might be going on, because you want to still look bright and awake, but just in a natural way. Again, I'm using a Beauty Blender sponge for the most seamless effect, and it's also great for when you need to cover up a blemish. When it comes to setting this kind of look with powder, I'm using a damp Beauty Blender sponge to press a small amount all over the areas, well, just the areas that I want the coverage to stay. So very little bit underneath the eyes and over the blemishes that I tried to conceal on my chin. If you have oilier skin, you might want to use a little bit of powder anyway. So I'm going to actually use this big fluffy powder brush from Drew Barrymore's line Flower Beauty. I swear I think Drew Barrymore is like a friend in my head. But anyway, I'm just going to do a light dusting everywhere else. If you have drier skin, you can skip this step, but since it's summer, maybe you might want to do a little bit. And then I use the same brush just to bronze up the skin a little bit because I'm too lazy to get like another brush. Like, that's too much work. Anyway, always tap off excess product from the brush before you start applying it to your skin just to avoid an overly powdery look. I cannot stress enough how important thin layers are for this look. Supermodels are born with amazing bone structure, so I'm going to do a little bit of contouring on the cheekbones just to create a little bit more of a defined look, but I'm keeping the shading very far back on the face. And then taking a big fluffy brush again, I'm just going to blend out so I can just diffuse it a bit so it's just not so obvious that I contoured. I mean, people who know about makeup might be able to tell, but like most, normal people won't be able to tell anything. Another trick is to take a brow pencil and go over any spots where maybe you have a beauty mark or maybe some freckles and just darken them a bit, since foundation, even in a thin layer, can sometimes make them a little less obvious, a little less noticeable. And basically what this is going to do is just kind of trick the eye into thinking, well, since we can still see a few freckles showing through, a few imperfections, maybe she's not really wearing any makeup at all, because usually you'll think if somebody's going to put on makeup, they're going to, cover things. So again, this look is just about looking more fresh and just like the best version of your natural self, if that makes sense. For the eyes, I like to leave mine bare, but some might like to put a little bit of definition in there. So I'm using a fluffy eyeshadow brush and blending kind of like a contour shade into the sockets of the eyes, just to kind of make them look a little bit deeper. Next, curl your lashes. I usually skip curling my lashes, but most people like to curl their lashes. It does make them look a little bit more perky, opens up your eyes a bit. Another tip to make your lashes look more defined and darker is to take a black eyeliner pencil and line your upper waterline. I know it looks scary, but it's trust me, it's not. You'll get used to it. And I would say to skip mascara, but telling a woman to skip mascara is basically like telling a dog to stop licking its balls. Like, it's just going to happen. So what I recommend doing is just apply a little bit of mascara, but use it at the very base of the lashes. Just kind of stick the brush in the very base of the lashes, give a little wiggle, and then barely touch the ends with the wand. This way, they're going to look darker, but not as if you've drenched them in product. For the lips, you can just do a little bit of lip balm. I like to do a little bit of a lip pencil just to kind of deepen up the color of my lips just slightly. I also use some brow gel just to keep the brows perky and brushed up. And if you have some exposed skin, there's no reason why it shouldn't glow. So I use a highlighter on the shoulders and the collarbone, and also at the very tops of the cheekbones. Of course, don't forget to blend. This shouldn't look like, you really applied a lot of highlighter. I just want to look a little bit glowy and dewy, just because I think it looks really beautiful, radiant, and hydrated. And that's the finished look. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. Bye!